Hi, my name is Trey and welcome to the channel. Today we're going to walk through the Dual Fire 1200 Smokebox bundle from RecTeq, as offered in March of 2025. This bundle combines the Dual Fire 1200 with the following items: 5 assorted bags of pellets, an 18-pound bag of Hickory, a 40-pound bag of the Ultimate Blend, an 18-pound bag of Applewood, an 18-pound bag of Cherry, and an 18-pound bag of mesquite. The bundle also includes a cooking mesh, nitro gloves, an aluminum bucket liners, a grill cover, a grill cleaner, an assortment of sauces and rubs, and a front shelf. And of course, the smoke box. Unboxing is pretty straightforward. I recommend having a set of gloves to help. This ensures you don't cut yourself on any sharp edges and protect your hands accordingly. One thing I observed most about the packaging is that it is very sturdy. It has to be due to the weight of this system and the transport logistics. As you notice, the top and sides of the package come off quite easily. You can also tell care has been taken to protect the finish for all of the goods. This is to ensure they don't scratch and rub against each other during transport. As the system is designed by RecTeq and manufactured in China, I'm making an assumption that it was originally packed and shipped with this design care in mind. Oh, and you'll quickly find out that there's no assembly manual, only a QR code that points you to an assembly video from the company. I'll include those links in the description below. What's truly nice is that the company provides probes for each of the probe ports supported by the system. This isn't necessarily the case from other leading big brands, according to my research. Check out how clean that inside is. Looks good. And again, that's all due to the special care that's taken with respect to the packaging of this fine unit. As you look at the hopper, it is very deep and designed to hold a large amount of fuel for any overnight cook that you may come up against. All right, let's close this up and get ready to build. As recommended, this is definitely a two-person step, so grab a friend and get ready. First things first, lay a piece of cardboard down, probably one of the sides or the top, onto the floor behind the RecTeq unit, and then roll it on its side. From there, you can lift up the shelf that this was resting on. Again, considering the weight of this system, that's some pretty solid packing to ensure nothing gets damaged or dented. Your main tool throughout the assembly process is a drill with a medium point Phillips head on it. Make sure you fit the bit to the screw heads to ensure they have a snug fit. This is important. You don't want to strip any of the screw heads out with a fine point on your Phillips head. Also, to make this process more smooth, pre-thread your locking washer on the screws, followed by the standard washer. Simply lay the appropriate amount next to each end so that you can easily have them at the ready as you start the assembly process for each of the legs. Get them in finger tight and then snug them down all the way with your drill. The nice thing about speeding this up is you never saw me drop a screw, did you? Next, we're going to put the bottom shelf into place. For this, I suggest a special tool where you have an angle driver attached to your drill so you can get those ones on the bottom end. It just makes it a little bit easier. In similar fashion, get your screws ready with a locking washer and standard washer in place. The system uses a standard caster pattern. I opted to provide my own, which were slightly taller to overcome a couple of obstacles I have in my garage and around the yard. These also supported the weight. Once you have the wheels in place, be sure to lock the casters so that as you put this system upright a little bit later, it doesn't move on you. For attaching the control shelf to the body, you're going to need a 17mm wrench. This step is easier with two people. Here, as you notice, you can easily position the wrench and work it so that you can firmly tighten things into place if it's just you doing it by yourself. Again, everything's pretty well packaged. Simply get that first bolt pattern in and the rest will follow. Again, on this one, you need to make sure that you have on the inside wall your standard washer going in first, followed by your lock, and then your nut to screw into. One of the things I really like about the RecTeq control system is the added outlet on the back. This means you can put just about anything on that shelf as an added option to your cook. Again, with a little clever positioning of that wrench, you can get it in there and then secure everything from your side with the screw. And yeah, I did drop it a few times, but it worked. The next step is connecting the electrical system up. You'll have a wire harness in which you need to put into place a retention bracket. One of the things that I noticed was one of my retention screws for the conduit was loose. I ended up having to tighten that down manually. So double check to make sure everything is fitted properly. Each of the connectors are well labeled. All you have to do is just connect them into place with their appropriate partner. Once you have that done, you can now fasten the retention plate into the body of the control panel and then secure it with a screw. After getting a friend to help you tip it back upright, it's time to put the smokestack on the left side. You'll need a 13mm wrench in conjunction with your drill. Again, you'll notice everything is well packaged for this system. At this point, I realized my watch was zooming the camera in, so as a result, we kind of missed a little bit of the connection process here. One thing you need to make sure of is that that retention bar that goes into place is oriented in the proper direction. You need to make sure that anything dripping down the side goes back into the grill. So make sure that lip is kicked in, facing into the grill. Next, we'll unbox the smokestack. One of the things that RecTeq does is they give you videos, not manuals, on the assembly process. I'll include those links to the assembly videos in the description below. From here, everything you need is packed inside. Again, everything is well packed to ensure nothing rubs or damages indirectly the powder coat finish of the Smokebox itself. As we begin the assembly process here, one of the things that you will notice is that the right smokestack of the unit goes into the back of the Smokebox here. This is a little tricky to put into place, but fortunately my arm was able to go through the side hole there and get the wrench in place to support me tightening everything down. Even though it took a few tries. Maybe a little more than a few. Probably would have gone quicker with a friend. Definitely would have gone quicker with a friend. I'd recommend you get a friend. Next up is the handle from the base unit that goes onto the side of the smoke box here. Simply take the hardware from the base unit and screw the handle into place. Again, paying attention to how you line up your washers, the lock one and the standard. After that, we're going to go ahead and open up the hardware that came with the smoke box. What you're going to see is there's a retention ring that is used to basically go inside the base unit to help structure or support, if you will, the bolting process or the fastening process of the smoke box to the main unit. We also have the handle that's going on here. You'll notice that everything is keyed a certain way. You want to make sure that as you thread this through, you put the hardware back on in the same direction. As you can see here, it really only goes in one way, not down. It needs to go up, and then you need to put your washer and your locking washer and your nut back in place. Next, tighten that down, but not too tight, because if you go too tight, it's not going to turn for you. You do want it to turn, right? So loosen that back up a little bit, and then it'll turn just the way you want it. This next step definitely goes better with a table and a friend. Use a table to line up the smoke box to the side of the base unit. From here, you can angle that in order to get a fit so that the bolts thread their way through. The smaller screws go through the smokestack. The larger screws go where the handle would have gone. Next, we'll simply drop the drip bucket bracket into place, and then we'll hang our drip bucket into position. Simple enough. From here, we'll go ahead and load our racks into place. And note, we already put the drip tray into the bottom of the smoke box. Now it's time to load the inside up, but first put a handful of pellets into each of the fire boxes. The reason you want to do that is later you're going to do your burn-in test, and at that point you don't want to have to take everything back out in order to put everything back in. Another very important thing to do is to make sure you line that drip tray up on the right such that it is centered proper for the drip to occur, but also that you have an equal amount of space between the front and the rear of the sidewalls. This will make sure that the heat goes up evenly from the front side and the back side. So let's close it up and move on. Now, one of the things I wanted to do for this video is I wanted to measure out just exactly how much this unit could store. They say that it stores 70 pounds. I wanted to get an understanding of how much fits into each side of the hoppers. Weighing this out, each cup I have is 1.5 pounds. From there, I started loading up and went ahead and put a label in place so that I could get a good sense as to how much this was going to hold. As you can see, it holds quite a bit. The right-hand side of the unit holds up to 40 pounds of pellets. One of the things I thought was interesting was, as I was loading this side up, none of that made its way into the other hopper. As I loaded up the direct fire side, you can see none of that made its way over. Here I repeated the process and came up with an interesting observation. On this side, I was able to actually load 39 pounds of pellets. Probably could have gone even a little bit more. So in summary, my observation is this is not a 70-pound hopper. This is close to a 79, 80-pound hopper when you add both of them together. That's fully loaded. Okay, almost done. Let's put on the front shelf. The screws for the front shelf are included on the base unit, even though you don't get a shelf with the base unit. What you want to do is unscrew those, take that hardware, and then finger tighten your shelf into place, and then hard fasten it with your drill afterwards. And yes, running this thing in double speed absolutely means you don't see me dropping the screws as many times as I did. Now, as an aftermarket hookup, one of the things I wanted to do for the Smokebox is give it its own hooks. I picked up a couple of magnetic hooks that could allow me to hang the grates on underneath it from Amazon. Again, I'll include links in the description below. These were pretty easy to put together, and at the end of the day, I've got an extra set of hooks for keeping stuff off the ground. Also went ahead and installed a accessory on my end, a induction cooktop with probe. This allows me to sous vide anything I want to sous vide. I have to say, I really like the look of this unit. Very clean. The stainless steel, the bull horns, everything just looks fabulous on it. And that's it. Next, we'll do a burn-in video and show you some key learnings from there. Again, be sure to check that out. And if you like this video, hit the thumbs up and subscribe. Yeah.